Hey there, my name is ZW Buckley, and welcome to a new episode of EQ&A, my series where I answer your biggest music questions and help you balance out your music production skills. Get the balance right. Hey all, welcome to our December 2025 episode of EQ&A. This is also our season finale, as I'm going to take a break from doing this series for a while. It also happens to be the last time that we are going to see one another in the year 2025, as after posting this, next week it'll be 2026. So this is, I guess, our holiday special of sorts. In this episode, we're going to do two things. I'm going to answer some questions, and I'm also going to share some New Year's musical resolutions. I sent an email to my newsletter subscribers, which if you aren't subscribed, you should head to the description of this video and do so. And I asked them what their New Year's musical resolution was. And I wanted to share some and offer some advice and encouragement to help round out and wrap up the year. So let's go ahead and jump right in. This question comes from Bus404, who writes, ZW, huge fan. I think I've been here close to the beginning of when you started putting out tutorials. My question is a follow-up from this video. What do you think the fundamentals of music production or producing music in Ableton are? I think there's 5 fundamental areas that every music producer should have a basic understanding of. And one is recording, audio editing, MIDI sequencing, synthesis, and our last one is mixing. And in reality, all of these boil down to just being about signal flow. How does information get in your DAW? How does it get out of your DAW? How does it move around your DAW? If I'm trying to record vocals, I need to understand how signal gets from my microphone into my audio interface, how it gets out of my audio interface into my DAW, how it gets out of my DAW back into my audio interface, and then how it gets out of the audio interface back into my headphones. Additionally, signal flow as it relates to mixing. Why would they potentially need to run an EQ first? Perhaps they're cutting out low end from a vocal so that that low end doesn't really trigger the compressor super hard. Then they can go ahead and tamp down on any of the extreme peaks, and then they can use an EQ to sculpt. Something that maybe seems totally different to a lot of producers is something like synthesis. Do you need to run an envelope to the oscillator and then perhaps an LFO to the filter? But then maybe there's this cool ramping effect that in reality, you need to also route the envelope to control the rate of the LFO. All 3 of these examples, they seem very different and separate, but in reality, they all share this common thing of signal flow. And so as you're going and learning these 5 fundamentals, the main thing that you need to keep in mind is how does signal flow apply to all of these fundamental areas? And if you just get confident with the basics of all of these, you're going to be really fluent in Ableton Live or whatever your DAW of choice is. This New Year's musical resolution comes from Jesse Snyder. Jesse writes, Hey ZW, my New Year's music resolution is to not get caught up in any sort of production schedule or pressure on myself and just enjoy making weird art for the sake of creating weird art. I hope you have a great holiday season. Thanks, Jesse. I hope you do as well. I think this is such a good idea and such a good thing to do. I can tell you from experience that I get overly serious about my music making, and in the past it has been very paralyzing. And something that really changed that for me was seeing this YouTube channel of mine grow so fast because I wasn't overly precious or overly serious about it. And I have been trying to adopt that stance in my especially personal music making practice. And it has been really helpful. I mean, I put out a song in October made entirely from bees. And on a whim, just last week, I dropped an ambient Botanica album that I made just from messing around and experimenting in Ableton. And that has all been really fulfilling. And I plan on keeping up that practice. I want to be prolific. And I hope that your 2026 is prolific as well in whatever way that means, whether that's releasing music or just the number of weird pieces that you make. But I hope that, you make some really cool, weird art, and I hope I get to hear some of it. This question comes from District Sound Lab. How do I learn the basics of piano and chord progressions? I'm 15 years into audio engineering, and I've been finally getting into production and really diving into Ableton. Chords are the only thing where I can't figure it out just by doing. I have all these very advanced skills, but with chords, I feel like a total noob. It's clear I need to study this, but I feel like basic piano lessons might not be the most effective way. Thanks. I would start by learning your scales. Even just learning one scale. Because if you understand a major or minor scale in Western music, then you understand that major or minor key. And chords work often in the context of a key. They can, of course, you can step outside keys and stuff, but we're not there yet. So we're going to limit it to just that. And the easiest way to think about building triads is that you skip a note name every single time. Now, if you memorize this skipping a note name every single time principle, then this is where your knowledge of scales becomes quite useful. For example, if I know that I need to construct some sort of E chord, you don't necessarily know, without knowledge of a scale, whether it should be E natural or E flat or B natural or B flat. And depending on the combination that you pick, these are very different chords. Your scale is kind of a rubric that just simply says, we're only going to use these notes. And so in the case of C, I know I'm only going to use what's called the natural notes. They don't have any sharp or flats. And so then I can just very easily build my triads by skipping every other note name. And all of a sudden, I now have a collection of 7 chords to work with. There's 8 chords here, but I'm having the octave up at the top, right? And if I play this, we get all of the chords available to us in C major that occur naturally. And then from there, it's about selecting which chords that you want to use. But then one last little detail that I'll leave you with is, now that you know your chords and you say have your progression, the one thing that you can do then is just reorder the notes in these chords. This is called inverting them or creating inversions. And for example, if I click to this clip here, this is the same C major scale, but I have inverted some of these chords. And it sounds less now like I'm playing chords up a scale, and it sounds like it could be a progression of sorts. And so this is where I would encourage you to start and get really comfortable with this. Start with one key, one scale, and you can then use that to inspire you to want to go further. These fundamentals you will never stop using, so it's a great place to start. This next New Year's musical resolution comes from my friend Cecil. My 2026 resolution, clear the backlog. My music is as ADHD as me, so I sit on all these different sounding songs waiting for the right collection of songs to put out. I have so many half or almost finished songs, it's time to put them to bed or send them out the door. Gosh, if I don't... Cecil, I don't know if you got inside my own brain or if just like people with ADHD are just an archetype, because that is such a huge problem for me as well. I feel like Captain Ahab and an album is my white whale. I think something that has really helped me this year is just accepting that an album is off the table for me right now. I find that my production process has a half-life. I need to get things out the door quickly, or I'm going to want to move on. And part of that is just, accepting the nature of how my brain works. And part of that is also just building skills around getting larger bodies of work that aren't client bodies of work to the finish line. I hope that we just get a ton of new music from you. And everybody should go check out Cecil's work. Go subscribe to their YouTube channel, because I have been bugging them to revive their YouTube channel. They've put out a couple of videos that have been awesome, very well produced, super professional. And check out their mixing and mastering services at mononoaudio.com. This New Year's musical resolution comes from James Davis, who sent me a really nice email, and I'm going to jump around so that we have the resolution. James writes, ZW, I don't usually do resolutions, and I'm very much still a beginner as a music producer. My primary goal next year would be to finish as many production and sound design based courses as possible, I think, with the primary thought behind this being rapid skill acquisition. Knowing which to do and in what order is a little baffling to me. Zeroing in on a genre that I actually want to produce would be another big component. So I guess I would say my resolution needs to be one thing: focus. That about sums it up. Any advice you can give me would be appreciated. Thank you. James, my biggest piece of advice to you as you are learning is to finish songs as you go. To explain, I have drawn big muscle workout producer James. In your image on your email you sent me, you have a hat and a beard, so hopefully I've done the likeness justice here, but the metaphor will still track. When you do a lot of self-educating, you tend to want to start over every time you learn something new because you want to incorporate it into your process. And as a result, you keep putting in a ton of reps with things that happen at the beginning of the production process. Things like songwriting or making loops or sound design or synthesis. And all that practice makes you really strong in these areas. But then as a result, you tend to not finish tracks because you keep starting over with all the knowledge that you've gained. And as a result, then you really lose out on practicing your skills of mixing and mastering and automation and arranging. And as a result, you end up looking like a very unbalanced bodybuilder, in which you are super jacked with the skills that you use in the beginning of producing a track, and you are lacking some, tone and definition in the areas that are important for finishing a track. And this can become a really frustrating cycle because you feel like you are learning so much, but then you run into this, cognitive dissonance of not having anything to show for your work. This is something that I've experienced. If we added glasses and took off the top hat, it would have been me a number of years ago. So stay focused, but finish songs. This question comes from Conduit Seor, and we're going to wrap up today's episode and this season of EQ&A with this question. What do you do when you feel totally drained and completely unmotivated? First, I'm going to advise that you rest. If you're feeling drained, give yourself time to fill back up. And that relates to the second thing that I want to say, which is nurture your creative practice. We so often think in terms of output exclusively. How much music am I actually making? How much am I releasing? Do I feel like I am producing the amount of work that is worth the time that I'm investing in this? But a focus on output is when you end up in a situation where you feel really drained and unmotivated. How can you build habits? Small, simple habits around expressing yourself musically. So rest. Focus on building sustainable, nurturing, creative practices. Save up your inspiration and let the output just be a byproduct of caring for all of these other things, much in the same way that the yield that farmers get at the end of a season has everything to do with what they did during the season. That's it for today. I hope you all have a very restful end of your year and that you are feeling excited and motivated for the new year ahead. I am as well. I've been thinking about my goals for the channel for 2026, and after starting 2025 at pretty much zero and setting what I thought was a pretty lofty goal of hitting 10,000 subscribers, I revised it to 15,000 because I hit it ahead of schedule. And now here we are at the end of the year. I've reached 15,000 subscribers. So I'm going to be ambitious for 2026. And I'm going to say that by the end of 2026 that I am trying to hit 50,000 subscribers on this YouTube channel. And I'm going to work really hard next year to do that. But for the rest of the year, I'm probably going to take a break. So I will see you all in 2026.